Just choose one of the things that, when you think about it, you feel bad. And I'd like you to just focus on this one thing. So you'll be able to repeat this with all the others if you'd like, but we'll do it with just one at a time, at least to start. There's ways to do it that you can do many at a time, but we'll start by learning one at a time. Okay, so just choose one thing. And when you focus on it, notice if you feel uncomfortable at all. Okay, so in order for this process, this exploration that we're going to do to work well, it's best if you can be reasonably comfortable as you focus on this. Now that if you feel uncomfortable, that might seem odd. You might say, well, how is it possible I could not feel uncomfortable? Part of it is how you are representing it for yourself. So remember that you know about this only because of you're representing this for yourself internally, right? So you're seeing something, hearing something, feeling something, smelling something, tasting something, some combination of those things. And if you're feeling uncomfortable as you focus on that, then it has to do with the way in which you are representing it. So if you are, and as you change the way you represent it, you can feel more comfortable. So, for example, if you represent it visually, if when you think about this thing, you see something in your mind's eye, notice, for example, are you seeing it as though through your own eyes? And if so, then for most people, that will increase the intensity. But if you see yourself, it will usually, for most people, decrease the intensity. So if you actually were to imagine it as though you were seeing it from like you were watching a movie of it, so you could see yourself in it instead of seeing through your own eyes, then for most people, that will make it less intense and therefore more comfortable. You can also notice the size, the location, and other factors. So usually if you represent it really close to you, then that will increase the intensity. If you move it further away, it will decrease the intensity. If there's sound in the way that you represent it, then just notice how loud is it. If you're finding it uncomfortable, make it quieter, move it a little further away. So just make these kinds of adjustments so that it can be reasonably comfortable as you focus on it. Then ask yourself, what is it that you wanted to achieve in that situation? So you actually had a positive intention. Just notice, what was that positive intention? What did you want to achieve? And just, this is a really, really important point. We always have positive intention. Now, sometimes we don't know in the moment the best ways to achieve that, which is almost certainly what happened in this particular case, right? You didn't know the best way to achieve your positive intention, but nonetheless, you had a positive intention. So even if it worked out quite badly, even if you behaved in ways that you might judge as bad, that was only because in that moment you didn't know the better way to do it. But actually, your intention was good. Your intention was a positive intention. Now, here's an amazing thing. You actually have within you everything that you need in order to be able to achieve that positive intention. You just didn't know it until now. So ask yourself now, what inner resources would allow you to achieve that positive intention in that kind of situation? It would be the inner resources that, had you accessed them in that moment, would have allowed you to have achieved what it is that you wanted, your positive intention. So in that moment, you had a positive intention. That positive intention would have most likely been something like love or connection or happiness or peace or harmony or joy or success. And the question is, in that moment, what inner resources, had you accessed them, would have allowed you to have achieved that positive intention? And there's a part of you that knows the answer to this. You can just allow that answer to come to you. And importantly, inner resources are those things which are always available within you. So they don't depend on any external circumstances, something that's always there available for you. It's something that you actually have some experience with in some way in your life. In certain contexts, you have accessed these inner resources. You just didn't know up to now that you could access those inner resources in this situation. But now you do know that. And so here's what you can do next is you can just imagine that same situation as it would be when you access those inner resources. So just one at a time, add in access to those inner resources to that so-called memory. So you can know, see, imagine yourself in that situation, accessing each of those inner resources. And as you do that, then notice, how does that change the way that you imagine it? Are you able to now imagine it in a way that you would be successful in achieving your positive intention? And there's a question, these inner resources can be reflected into actions. Yes, of course. The key here, though, is that it starts as an inner resource. And yes, of course, that inner resource will change something. It will be reflected in behaviors somehow, but it starts as an inner resource.